This is Tina from tinahills.com. And as I promised you guys, I will be back with a lot of new content, a lot of new perspectives very shortly on my channel. And here I am back to discuss a very interesting phenomena called the out of bound moon. Okay, it not only happens to the moon, it also happens to the other planets. And I am going to break down for you, how this works and what's the dynamics behind the out of bound moon. Okay, so just a second, give me a teeny second to just share this onto my YouTube feed. So and also today I do intend to make some other videos. More on that as we progress. Welcome, and please enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, share, and let us begin discussing the out of bounds moon. So you've seen that November's felt really out of whack, right? It's been really intense energy. Of course, we had the eclipse, and which was in Kritika Nakshatra and Taurus, both in the sidereal and the tropical system. And now we are ready for the eclipse in sidereal Scorpio and in tropical Sagittarius. So the dates that the moon goes out of bounds, 4th to 7th of December 2021. And like I said, this is going to be completely chaotic because we have that eclipse right about that time, okay? And the next dates, December 18th to 22 and December 31st onwards. Hello, so nice to see you, Luca. Welcome. Now, when we speak about the out of bounds moon, okay, now this is a very interesting piece of astrology, out of bound planets, and I want to dig deep into it. So solar fire places this at 2827, whereas in Wikipedia, audio is not clear, is it? Now, is it a bit better? Is it a bit better now? Please, can you tell me, is audio a bit better? Because I think my hair was blocking. Is it better? Well, okay, cool. So now let's get straight to understanding of, okay. So 23 degrees, 28 minutes is the declination of the sun. As in the sun's movement, okay, or the sun's annual cycle, it ranges from 2328 north to 2328 south, okay. These are the tropics, the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So this is sort of like the sun's annular cycle, and it is the sun that holds this energy vortex, okay, 23 degrees, 28 north to south, right? And the sun's cycle, basically, when we talk about an out of bound moon, then we must understand that when moon is beyond the maximum limit of declination, okay, maximum limit of declination, when the moon is beyond maximum limit of declination, north or south, okay, that is when the moon goes out of bounds, right? And Mercury, Mars, both these planets can reach up to 27 degrees, okay? And as I said, the sun marks this orbit, this annular cycle that marks this from tropic to tropic, right? And Venus, actually, Mercury and Mars reach 27 degrees, and Venus actually reaches 28 degrees, okay, sometimes 28 degrees. So when the moon's declination exceeds 2328, okay, the slant of the moon and the movement of the moon, she goes out of she goes out from the direct gaze of the sun. So if the sun is a king holding court between the two tropics, Then when moon is out of bounds, it's like the moon has escaped the court and has just gone out of the court or left the court, or in some way she's not restricted to the sun's rulership or leadership as she was when she was between the two tropics. So when the moon is moving between the, and this is an 18.5-year cycle, almost like Rahu and Ketu, which is like about 19 months. Okay, this is 18 years. Imagine, sorry, not Rahu cycle, it's months, and this is years. I made a huge mistake there. Now, years, mind you, not months, years. Now, as I said, that the sun dominates this zone. Understand this concept clearly, okay? And is almost like a king holding court. But when the moon escapes this tropic to tropic, this declination, and the moon goes beyond this, then the moon has sort of escaped that power structure. And maybe she's trying to create a new power structure. Maybe she's abandoning the old power structure and the old rules of the court, so to say, metaphorically. Okay, now, and remember that the sun, after all, is the divine masculine, the moon is the divine feminine, the sun the father, the moon the mother. So here, interestingly, it's almost like, and when we see a family, a typical patriarchal family, we see that the father is at the helm. Although we see that the mother is responsible for, bringing up the children, a lot of times also providing for the children, keeping the house clean. And don't forget that moon rules the natural fourth house, Cancer. So that's all about care, comfort, pregnancy, fertility, breastfeeding, and all of that. So when the moon is out of bounds, okay, she breaks all rules. She does not want to stick by the same old rules. So she breaks all the rules. She destroys all the boundaries. The sun has created these boundaries. Okay, in Indian mythology, when Ravana and his evil sister Surpanakha, they wanted to lure away Rama and Lakshman from Sita because they wanted to abduct Sita. They called Rama, and thank you. They called Rama out, and then before Lakshman was going, Lakshman drew a circle around Sita, and she said, if you do not step out of this circle, nobody will be able to touch you. Now, not only, and of course Sita stepped out of the circle and then she was abducted. We know the story, okay? But interestingly, even when we see, if we do yantra puja, we have circles. We do mandalas, we have circles. Even in ancient Nordic religions, we have circles and cast spells. Even Wicca, Celtic Wicca, the modern Wicca. You draw circles. It's almost like a vessel. It's a container. So when moon is out of bounds, she's out of this container. Think of it like a house that the father and the mother live together between the two tropics. And then when moon is ready, after every 18.5 years, to go out, when we literally say we need to take a break, we need to step out of our comfort zone. Even if we are living together for ages, we need to step aside sometimes to allow some kind of discrimination to seep through what's going wrong, what's right, how can we better it. So in a sense, the moon stepping out of this home that the sun has created for her, when she steps out, it's almost like the mother re-evaluating that, have I done everything correctly? Have I, when we tend to be away from our spouses, when we tend to be away from our family, we have a moment of solace. We sit down to think. We think about our lives. We think about what's happening, what's not happening, how can we better it. So in a sense, the moon takes some time off when the moon is out of bounds. The moon is ready to take a break from this regular cycle that the sun and the moon have initiated in the solar system, and of course the earth. The moon is, but I must tell you, the moon is really important to the whole solar system. You study esoteric astrology and you realize actually how important the moon is. Even in our mythology, in Hindu mythology, the moon is supremely important. The moon is found on top of Lord Shiva as a crescent. So we see that the moon escapes the confines that the sun has created. It's after all his delineation, okay? Oh my god, the sound is really, is it a bit better now? Maybe I can put it here. Is it a bit better? I don't know why the sound is so bad. Because I'm using a really nice Sennheiser mic. Is it bad? Maybe the adapter, I have no idea. Is it a bit better now? Please do tell me if it's a bit better. Now, so as I was saying, that she in a sense needs to take a break. She needs to step out, okay? She needs to step out of the regular cycles, of the regular thing that they do, the sun and the moon. Okay, all right, perfect. I don't know why, I have no idea. It's a brand new mic. I have no idea. Now, destroying all these boundaries, every 18.5 years, the moon gets a new understanding of what's happening here on Earth, of her role there, of our role there. You know, she steps back, and we are her children after all. So she steps back, and as a mother, she looks at, you know, the solar system, the sun, and running his show. She looks at him and she's like, okay, you know, this was my home, but I'm now out for a while. And I know we all know that feeling, and sometimes we welcome that feeling. So moon of out of bounds could be an important time for the feminine within us, not just the female sex, but the polarity within us of male and female. It's an important time for the the female polarity within us. Okay, the Ida Nadi is connected to the moon. So in my experience, pranayama is actually, yes, of course, the moon is very responsible in procreation and sexual orientation and sexual fertility, a lot of that. We know the most fertile sign of the zodiac is Cancer and is ruled by the moon. So that's the most fertile sign of the zodiac. So when she steps out of these boundaries, when she steps away from her children, she steps away from her masculine, you know, and in a sense, sun powers her. So she's stepping away also from the power that feeds her. Okay, she is like taking a break and moving away also from the power that literally without the sun's rays, the moon would not reflect anything. So she understands that demarcation, she understands that responsibility, she's grateful, but she needs to step aside, like we all do need to step aside. Archetypes teach us about human psychology. Yes, astrology teaches us predictions, it can help you get married, it can help you, you know, the correct remedies, it can do anything for you. But it also speaks of deep psychology within us. And the moon is known to be associated with our mind. Mercury, yes, in a more logical, rational way, but the moon is associated with our minds. You know, deep psychological, you know, the deep psychological movement of our minds. So this is something that is interesting when she breaks all the rules and she breaks all these boundaries, because she's ready to step aside. She's not playing the same game. So she steps out, and in that she makes new decisions, right? And in a sense also she does what she pleases, right? You can step aside, you can step back for a moment, and you are alone at that moment, and you can and you can step aside, and you can take a moment and you can breathe. So in a sense, this is also a moment of taking a breath, okay? But in a sense, it's always exciting when you're away from your family. It's always, there's some kind of excitement. Yes, there's sadness, there's nostalgia, there's remembrance, but there's an excitement. People who've been in, you know, long-term relationships for very many years, maybe even decades, all of that, you step aside for a moment and you suddenly see everything in a new light. Maybe you are even ready to recommit on a higher level, on a different level, after you've taken a break. So the out of bounds Yes, I am. It's very symbolic before the eclipse because I have also another commissioned video to do about Archangel Uriel. So if you're interested, Archangel Uriel and how he's Mars. And that'll be so interesting because we have the eclipse and we have Mars, active in the eclipse. So I'm going to get to that. So in a sense, she destroys all of this so-called boundaries, and she does what she pleases. She takes a moment of repose. She tries to gain new experience by going in a new avenue. Maybe she could be a bit impulsive at this moment. She could be a bit spontaneous at this moment. She could be, making things up along the way as she journeys away from the sun, right? Definitely a moment of liberation, a moment of emancipation, a moment of freedom for the moon, okay? And when you're free, when you're alone, when you're free, you've got to take charge. You've got to take charge of your life. You've got to pivot your life how you see fit. If you've lived with your parents all your life and then you suddenly move away, and then you have to literally redo your life from scratch. Okay, you have to literally redo your whole life because uh, literally you don't know, mom's not there. Maybe mom's not there to cook you food, maybe mom's not there to clean up after you, and here you are possibly in a new city, in a new environment, and you have to adapt and you have to learn, right? So you have to take charge, you have to emancipate yourself, you have to feel liberated. And in a sense, the moon, definitely the energy of the moon that seeps through when she's out of bounds is slightly eccentric, and it's almost like Aquarian and Uranian, and I'll get to it. But in a sense, it is about breaking structures. Out of bounds moon is all about breaking structure. However, as I said, it's a moment of repose, it's a moment of, contemplation, it's a moment of introspection. However, this can have a dark side because after all, when we have freedom and we are suddenly liberated, and we, after 18 and a half years, we get a chance to step aside from our usual situation, and then we can go quite wild, right? So we can go quite wild, we can develop a dark, I mean channel darkness from this freedom, too much freedom, channel a sort of an insidious vibe, because there's definitely an insidious, a nefarious vibe to the out of bound moon, because we do see criminality, we do see sort of subversion at play, very very insidious side, sociopathic side to out of bounds moon. Definitely there is. Okay, now criminal, like I said, manipulative, some of the even deeper negative connotations of Cancer, selfish, depressed, cold, because here we are on earth, and our mom's gone away, and what happens to us then? We get like, we want our mom, we want our mom, we want her to be there for us, but she's not. She's gone out, she's possibly gone to take a break, she's gone to do something new. And emotions within us, we become cold, we become detached, because it hurts. So all of this, like I said, astrology echoes our psychology. It echoes the rays that we get is how we create life, is how we interact with matter. So there is definitely all this emancipation, liberation, but there is an insidious criminal side to the out of bounds moon. And also depression. Okay, depression, because again, emotions are not balanced, because our mom's not right there, the moon's not right there, she's moved away, quite far away from us. So we feel depressed, we feel anxious. And of course, if Mercury and moon are both out of bounds, and they were this November, it felt like depressed and lack of logic, unable to analyze the situation, unable to take the correct decision, unable to logically move or emotionally touch base with the situation. And that happened to us this November. It was intense. So be aware of this out of bound negative traits that can manifest. Now, out of bound moon is distinctly of an Aquarian flavor. Okay, distinctly of an Aquarian flavor and Uranian flavor, right? Because if you look at an out of bound moon person, and if you've been born, you can go online and just Google it out to see if you were born during an out of bound year. Then in a sense you stand outside society, like the Aquarian archetype. You're in a sense, away from the system, maybe even applying some kind of resistance to the system, bringing a thought form which is revolutionary to the system, right? And this of course has its own consequences that you'll have to face along the way. This also has the fall from grace situation, where people question you. You get alienated, you get detached, you get cold, you get just unable to express yourself. That's there. So alienation can occur, a non-caring attitude, hatred, aversion can occur. However, if you harness the out of bounds moon correctly, then you will get a creative flux of energy. And this is very powerful because we've seen time and again that you have to check with the year, and you have to go online and you have to find any app that gives you your if you were born during an out of bound year. So at any time, a lot of us were. In fact, the last cycle was 2006, and the next cycle will be 24 to 25. 2024, 2025. So you go back from 2006 into 18.5 6-year cycles. Not 5, sorry, 6-year cycles. 18.6-year cycles. So you go back like that, and 2024, as I said, will be the next cycle. But however, we do experience out of bounds moon on and off from here and then, when the moon goes beyond the 2 tropics. In its maximum declination, it goes beyond 23.28. Okay. So remember, in a sense, when we look at the out of bound moon personality, they are sort of a revolutionary or a criminal or some kind of mastermind or some kind of genius, definitely an eccentricity to them. If they have, for instance, even Venus has been out of bounds this year and is still out of bounds as we speak. So when Venus goes out of bounds, all the significations of Venus get, just lose that kind of fine boxing that we place all of this. So tropic to tropic is a box. We box it in. We are the ones who invented this 12 signs because, we wanted to understand ourselves better. It's a very anthropomorphic way of understanding the stars, the way we study stars in any system. Right? So there are those magicians who are connected to the stars directly, and they are channeling the correct planetary rays. If you're channeling the correct planetary rays of Mercury, you will be full of discrimination, very methodical, very practical. Saturn, you will want to serve. You will want to do better. You want to master something. So it's again all about, just because you have an out of bounds moon in your natal chart or your progress chart does not mean you're going to be a whacked out personality. It could mean that you harness this energy and you actually do good with it, right? Genius. Think of the magician card. Like I said, there is a sense of walking away from society and societal constructs. Like, if you were maybe very rich, you give up that life and you go into NGO work, non-governmental work, or you go and you do tons of charity, and you're not spending all your time and money in manicures and clubs and all of that, and maybe you've stepped away from that lifestyle and you've now taken walking the path of helping people, because we are pretty much the consequences of our circumstances. We've heard of nature versus nurture. So we are pretty much nurtured, nature, whatever it is, we are nurtured in a situation, and we grow up to be like that. So we understand that if you are born in a privileged situation, then you will, that's your construct, you have the privilege, right? But stepping away from that privilege and actually doing good with that, or actually helping people at whatever comes to you, that's like an out of bounds moon energy harnessed correctly. So if your say your mother has had a vicious relationship with her mother, and her mother has had a vicious relationship with her mother, and there's this constant uh, cycle of pain and suffering that is coming down through the mitochondrial DNA, then an out of bounds moon could be the right time to step away from that toxic situation and to try and fix it. Okay, forgiveness definitely could come from something like that. So 8 of cups energy, kind of like walking away, but maybe walking away because you need to see a different perspective. And also think of it as the magician. So everything is upon you, what you want to do, how you want to create it when the moon goes out of bounds. So it's literally up to you at that point. So that's something. Emancipation from the system, or emancipation from what we've been taught, or what our mothers have always taught us. If they've taught us to be afraid of the menstrual cycle, then it's a time that we can step away and we can develop a relationship with our menstrual cycle. If they've taught us that our sexuality is an aberration, then maybe it's a good time to step away from that understanding and forgive and forget and create your own understanding about what your sexuality is going to be all about. So this is how we may positively harness the out of bounds moon. It's very possible. There's a huge emancipation that comes through with this energy. Now, stretching the limits of knowledge and understanding, because when the moon is away from the sun, the moon is now in a place where she can receive other information from outside the solar system, from outside the, not solar system, from outside the sun's 23 of 23 north to 23 south. So now she can step out of that and get new information. That's very possible. And that also helps her understand how things used to be and how things will be. So again, creating a new understanding of this when she moves away, when she steps away from this. So this is very important. However, out of bound moon natives, whether it be in their natal or progressed, they will always have this kind of unstable personality. Kurt Cobain had an out of bound moon, and that was quite crazy. That Kurt Cobain, and the way he killed himself, the way he literally stepped away from society and killed himself. That's a classic example of stepping away or walking away when you don't no longer want to be there. Now it's a wild card. I told you it works like a Uranus, it works like a Aquarian energy, out of bound moon. So it's a wild card completely. However, when this happens, I gave you the dates, right? As 18.6 year cycles, dates that will happen 4th to 7th of December, 18th to 22nd of December, and 31st December on. Yes, I do believe that it can be. I do not vilify suicide, and I think it is a valid philosophical situation. In fact, at the end of the day, some believe, especially the existentialists, they looked at suicide with great depth. And Albert Camus actually joked and said that, should I have a cup of coffee or should I just go kill myself, commit suicide? It's this existential absurdism that, killing myself, is it going to make anything better? Because if this is a game in an infinite series of games, then getting myself out right now, is that the answer? It may not be. These are deeply interesting scenarios that, garner more, should garner more interest and should be things that, you know, we speculate and we think about. Also, moon rules the stomach. So out of bounds moon, if especially if it's in Cancer, or especially, you know, if also it's in Virgo, you can work with your diet very well, or even heal stomach complications. So that's there, definitely. There's something there that you can distinctly get from this energy. It's not all bad, it's not all crazy. It's a lot, yes. It's like I said, it's eccentric. It's a stepping away from the status quo, and that scares some people. I don't doubt that. But as you know, as the moon feels, every 18.6 years, it is necessary for her to step aside, and of course give 2 years here and there, uh, a year or a couple of years on both sides. So the moon literally needs to stay away sometimes, and that's why, as I said, the journey above, as above, so below. So it echoes what we need to do. We also need to step aside from our regular situation and we decide the cycle. Isn't that interesting that we get to decide that cycle? When we are going to go out of bounds, when we can step aside, when we can look at things. And I believe this is quite a powerful energy that's coming through with out of bound moon, and this crazy eclipse that's coming, which I've already made a video and discussed in great detail. But today I am here for the next video, which is a commissioned video by someone in Sweden. And it was really nice because we've been working with some angel healing. I mean, we did that like ages ago, and suddenly he pops back and he's like, I want you to make a video on Archangel Uriel. So I would be making that video after this, after I just sip some tea and drink some water. I'll be back discussing with you how Archangel Uriel is actually none other than Mars. And I also have some other stuff after that. So don't forget to join in, like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know what you think of these videos. Thank you.